What is up, guys? Justin and Frank here. I keep getting interrupted, so let's get straight to it. We are doing a zero tolerance 0223 comparison to regular everyday items, other zero tolerances, other brands like Spyderco, Microtech, and Benchmade, and to give you a better idea of its size and if it's the right knife for you. I will say its action is very smooth and its detent falls smoothly shut, which is something very nice to have in a knife. And if you do like this design, this G10 does look nice, and I do think it pulled off a very well homage to the K-bar. So I think that's honorable of them to represent the history of armed forces like that. So anyway, let's get some comparisons going. Compared to $1, right here you can see significantly longer. Compared to an ID, yeah, it's like 2 or 3 IDs. And then compared to a DuPont lighter, ST DuPont mini jet lighter, to show size comparison. Alright, so those are some everyday items. Let's show actually compare it to the Seeker 2 Pro from Olight. Seeker 2 is definitely going to be about the same size as the handle, but not quite catching up to that blade, maybe a little bit. And let's look at one more flashlight that may be common and maybe well known. This is the S2R Baton 2 without the clip on it. So we'll put that up there. Just some everyday items. I hope you can reconcile or recognize. I mean, sorry if I stuttered for a second there, but you know what I meant. You know, these videos and the continuity of them is hard, so I do my best, guys, and I try and keep it real. So I hope you can appreciate that and, you know, go with the flow. And I know you guys do, and I appreciate you for doing so. Alright, so let's do some other comparisons real quick. Let's compare it to the Olight i3T EOS, which is a AAA size flashlight. Smaller, definitely a lot smaller than the Olight Open 2. Nice Kubotan potential with the aluminum body it's made out of, about the size of an average pen. And to get the exact size of an average pen, and my shameless plug, Justin and Frank, my website, check it out, tell your friends, go there, and also check out my other socials and outreach. But anyway, this is the size of a regular old office pen next to the knife. Alright. So now we have some regular items compared to the knife. Let's move on to cheaper budget knives. Let's start with the Kershaw 7007 CF. Smaller, a little bit more pocket friendly. And then we want to do the CIVIVI Keen Nadar, a little bit more high end, definitely closer to the same size, a little bit shorter of a blade length. But if you're looking for something cheaper, this CIVIVI is not a bad option at all. Really well built for the price, and you get a lot for the budget. So that's a cheaper knife comparison to the 0223 from the zero tolerance. Let's look at some more expensive knives that fit its class from zero tolerance, starting with the 0640. The 0640 is a beautiful knife at the same time as this knife. Its size is very similar, if not actually slightly bigger than the 0223, but it is a great knife. Next, let's look at the 0462 Dmitry Sinkovich design. This is an Emerson design. This is a Tim Galligan design. This is Dmitry Sinkovich right here. A little more aggressive, a little bit longer of a blade, and a little bit more of a belly, but just a very different style. And then let's compare the last large knife I have to it, the 0308 or 30-08. There's no salsa there. This is a bad boy. This is the 223. This is definitely its larger cousin, but you know, in size it's not that much bigger, but it's just girthy, and build quality wise, the 0308 just does feel a lot more firm. than any of these other knives, but they all feel great. They all feel phenomenal. Let me just say that. So I don't want to dissuade anyone from buying anything because they all feel great. So let me show you them in comparison like this, like this, like that. Quickly do that with this, this, so you can get the size comparison. Took a little longer to flip that one. And of course, we gotta zoom in on this again. And now let's look at some zero tolerance knives that are not quite the same size or caliber in the sense of that they're naming their knives after a gun caliber, but I mean in the sense of in the same class or league, but I think they handle their sense well and they're great knives. First is the 0450 CF or carbon fiber edition of the 0450. Dmitry CIVIVI design again there. It's really nice. Next we have another Dmitry CIVIVI design, the 0470. A little bit more of a gentleman's knife, a little bit longer, a little bit bigger. Here, let's put it up here. I'll show you the difference. Yeah, a little bit longer, a little bit bigger. Not quite the same blade length as the 0223. But you know, these are more gentleman's pocket knives, and I just wanted to show you as a comparison since they're very common knives and many people own them. Now, moving on to other brands. First, let's talk about the Spyderco Paramilitary 3. Everyone knows that for sizing right there. Put that up there, and I'll put the Paramilitary 2 on top for comparison. The Paramilitary 2 does come in a somewhat similar size, but not nearly the same when it comes to girth on its side. As you can see, the 0223 is much girthier, but honestly, I wouldn't say much. It's just slightly girthier. You'd really be surprised how thin and nimble this knife is in your hands. But that's the comparison between the Spydercos. Let's get those out of the way. Next, let's move on to the Microtechs. I have two different Microtechs to compare. One that's very similar to this knife, I believe, in a lot of ways. The Microtech Hawk, one of the first 1,000 made in its pre-production run. Similar blade length, similar handle length, and you know, a lot of similarities besides the blade shape being different, the function obviously being a little different. But let's move on to the Microtech UTX 70. It's the smallest out the front knife, but still a beast, the latent pocket knife. And it's about the size of the handle with the blade deployed. So that's pretty funny. Let's leave that one out. I'll take the Hawk away. Let's move on to some other gentleman's knives that I want to put on the table in comparison, just to show the gentleman's knives. First, we have the Benchmade Impel Lurch with my initials on it. Beautiful knife. And the Impel Lurch compares favorite blade size to the UTX 70, maybe slightly shorter. And last, gentleman's knife, my favorite folding knife at the moment, the Cyvivic collaboration, the titanium handle, the titanium clip, the first 100 ever made. And this is just a knife that I love, but I'll go ahead and put it up top just to show its size comparison, and its size is very similar. So all three of these gentlemen's knives are smaller knives, compare very similarly, even though they're all very different from one another, to the 0223. And I think that's something important to take note about, that these smaller knives are all going to perform similarly, but this is going to give you something else and that extra performance. So let's end on a couple more well-known knives, and then we will get out of here. Hopefully this helped, guys. I really appreciate you watching this. First, let's start with something a little less known, the Benchmade Phaeton. Let's really take it out because it is kind of similar in size. A little bit shorter of a handle, but a knife I like to just take it out and show. Some people are familiar with it. Now, a knife that pretty much everyone is familiar with, the the Griptilian full size from Benchmade. So that shows you the comparison right there. And last is the Osborne. This is the 940 or 940 400 edition of it, the automatic edition, but it maintains the same body shape and design. You can see this is actually pretty thick. The 0223 is actually thinner than the Griptilian and the handle, but you know, that's just another surprise that you get from Zero Tolerance. They get well-built knives, and they really know how to do their stuff. This is a great knife, guys. I can't recommend it enough. Zero Tolerance knows what they're doing. Don't worry about these holes. There's not a weak point with a myth. And if you like the design of this knife, if you like the K-bar look, trust me, you will enjoy this knife. The flipping is beautiful. The detent is buttery smooth, and it's one of my favorite Zero Tolerance knives of all time. So I hope this helps you decide, and I hope you subscribe and tell your friends. I know I made a couple errors throughout the video, but I kept it real, and I appreciate you keeping it real too. Thanks.